On Saturday, South Africa and the world will mark World AIDS Day. The theme for this year is Know Your Status.
World AIDS Day takes place on the 1st of December each year and has been celebrated since 1988. The day is dedicated to showing support for people living with HIV and to commemorate those who've died from an AIDS-related illness. South Africa has come a long way from the era of denialism.
When you ask the question, does HIV cause AIDS? The question is, does a virus cause a syndrome? How does a virus cause a syndrome? It can't.
Hundreds of thousands of people died of HIV and AIDS-related illness during Thabo Mbeki's presidency because they didn't have access to medication.
We thought when we formed the Treatment Action campaign that our battle would be against the drug companies. Regrettably, it turned out to be something of a war where President Mbeki declared a war upon black working class people, African, coloured, Indian white working class people and white working class people by denying that HIV caused AIDS. It wasn't a war fought with bombs. It wasn't a war fought with guns. It was a war fought by withholding resources from the most vulnerable people in order to allow them to die, in order to prove an ideological point.
But in recent years, things have changed for the better.
Well, when I look at South Africa, despite the fact that we have the largest epidemic in that country, we also have learned a lot of the lessons we have from that country. Because what has happened over the years in South Africa is that we've had such good political leadership and government commitment, translating really into action.
As the world celebrates World AIDS Day on Saturday, the country is listed as having the world's largest antiretroviral treatment program. According to Statistics South Africa, there are just over 7 million people living with HIV in the country, and half of those are on antiretroviral therapy.
All right, there was a time when being diagnosed with HIV was seen as a death sentence, and life insurance companies point blank refused to cover individuals who tested positive. But thankfully, times have changed. Medical advances in treatment have forced many insurance companies to adapt their approach to HIV-positive applicants. Jonathan Elcock is the founder and CEO of CompariSure and joins us from our Cape Town studio for more. Thanks for your time, Jonathan. Just tell us how life insurance companies have adapted their approach to HIV-positive applicants.
So, Shahan, when the disease was first found in the 1980s, there was a lot of uncertainty around it. And so as a result, they took a cautious approach, and essentially people couldn't access life insurance if they were tested positive for HIV. With the improvements in treatment and distribution of treatment, it means that now if people living with HIV can live normal length lives, and the life insurance industry has responded by allowing access to this to life cover.
So as treatment continues to improve and with HIV positive individuals living longer, do you think the extra premiums charged will eventually decrease?
So I think they have been decreasing significantly over time. It does depend on quite a few factors specific to the individuals. So things like the severity of the condition, the age of the client, or the other conditions or medical diseases or that they might have impacted. But those that manage it well, it should over time be treated like a chronic disease, and they should get access to near normal rates.
It's a tricky business, isn't it? The more sick you are, it seems the harder it is to actually get life insurance.
Yes, so that is the way insurance works. You should take it out as soon as possible when you're as healthy as possible. And the same applies if you are exposed or you have HIV. Rather to take it out while you still have a very high CD4 count and you'll have better access to it if you take it out then.
When does morals actually come into play here when it comes to life insurance? We had a case recently where a man was killed in a hijacking, but the insurance company didn't want to pay out because they found out he lied about having high sugar levels. They changed their mind after the outrage from members of the public. When do we see moral and ethics play more of a decision-making factor when it comes to people getting life insurance?
I think what's very important with cases such as that is that the individuals need to be as honest as possible during the application process, because then it takes all of the doubt out of the situation. So yes, in cases like that, it is difficult because the two conditions are unrelated, but at the same time, I think what it comes down to is that honesty is the best policy when it comes to any form of insurance. That's the only way that the insurance industry can exist.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. That was Jonathan Alcock, founder and CEO of Comparisure.